What's up, y'all? Reggie here with another video for the You-Topia project. I wanted to do another video about PNB Rock. For y'all who don't know, if you are just catching this video, he was a decently well-known rapper who got recently murdered, allegedly robbed. I don't think they took all of his jewelry, but robbed him or attempted to rob him, etc. And he got murdered out in LA at Roscoe's Chicken and Waffles, right? Now, at the beginning of this, a lot of people were, talking about how the girlfriend that was with him allegedly, quote unquote, dropped the location, maybe by accident or whatever, by putting up a pic. And a lot of times, people don't understand that if they don't turn some of these features off, you'll get automatic like geotagging or whatever it's called. Like it might automatically show the location of your pic if you don't turn that off. And if you're not thinking about it or whatever, you can be taking a picture and saying, hey, I'm out at so-and-so, so-and-so, I'm out doing this, and not know that you're telling people exactly where you're at. And again, even me in my area, upstate South Carolina, I don't really do much live talking about what I do. And if I go to an event or something, I post about it after. And sometimes I strategically post stuff while I'm at an event that looks like I'm at home or whatever, just because you just never know who is looking and trying to size up when people are away from the house or whatever else. They can be anywhere. But anyway, so over the past day or so, there's been a little bit more information. I just saw this morning, and people were saying this, that, and the third, but I saw a news anchor say that the police investigating the scene, investigating the situation, said, all right, so a journalist, quote unquote, news anchor or whatever, reporting at the scene, said that a police officer on the scene said that PNB Rock shared his own location before they went in, like 30 minutes before this happened, 30, 45 minutes or whatever before this happened, when they got there or whatever. And I've just seen 2 or 3 interviews that have come up that people have put up where he's been doing interviews and talking about this exact sort of thing, and like they were literally talking about this thing happening, this stuff happening with people and other rappers, etc., how they're being targeted. And he's doing an interview, if I remember correctly, with a lot of chains on. And the interviewer, I can't remember which one this was on, but it wasn't the DJ Academics one, but I talked about that in the other video, but this was a different video. So he talks about, the guy interviewing him says, at least take your chains off when you go or whatever. Don't go with your chains on. And I could kind of see PNB a little bit, kind of like shake his head a little bit, like he's not with that. But that's just me from what I remember. But even if he didn't, he said, but PNB followed up and was like, I think he said, or go with security, etc., something along those lines. Not only did he not go with security, he went with his chains on. So he didn't really take his own advice. And again, from what I understand, he was on his way to the airport and probably thought, I'd dip in and out right quick. And who knows if he knew he had the location on that would automatically put it out there. Or maybe he was putting it out there because he didn't care, or who knows what. But allegedly, according to the police, right, he shared his own location. So there's that. And then just ironically, plenty of people have shared this now. The Game, which is another even more well-known rapper, started out, I think, under 50 Cent, right? He was in G Unit. Really went to, I don't know where he was originally from, but he's, generally kind of known now over the past years as being a West Coast rapper. So he's real familiar with the West Coast scene, right? He's gang affiliated, if I'm not mistaken, as well. So he wrote lyrics in 2007 that basically said, I had it memorized for the most part. He basically said, take my advice, talking to all the rappers. When you eating at Roscoe's, watch out for the chain snatchers. And as I talked about in one of my other video, in the other video so far that I've done on this, this is a well-known sort of thing to understand might happen to you when you go to Roscoe's. It's like so many people have talked about this now in the few videos that I've watched over the past, 48 or so hours on this topic. And it's just amazing that you would go understanding this or knowing this and having talked about it. Who was it? Speaking of 50 Cent and G-Unit, I watched the interview with Tony Yayo, who is a member of G-Unit, down with 50 Cent, considered to be the most loyal G-Unit member, obviously, et cetera, et cetera. He's done like 3 interviews with Vlad, DJ Vlad, over like the past month. He literally brought him back. Like, he just finished showing his last interview and brought him back within like probably a week. And they start off talking about this PNB thing. So it's fresh. And he was like, I'm bringing him back to talk about this. But, Tony Yayo was talking about, hey, you can't really, you can't put so much into that, like fault or something. The way he made it sound, because what he said was, I might be high or something, accidentally post a pic and have my location on it, blah, blah, blah. And I put in the comments, because I'm active like that, in the comments. Either the fitness tutor or I think it's You-Topia or whatever that shows up. But anyway, but I just commented on that because that's exactly, like, that to me, that's ridiculous. That you would think that you could be high off weed and accidentally lose your life because you posted your location with a pig while you're at Roscoe's. So again, this whole thing with weed and acting like weed is benign and it's just this, it's just that. Who's to say that exactly what Tony Yayo was talking about didn't just happen? About to get on the plane, you're about to eat, smoking, getting the munchies before you go eat some good food, before you get on the plane or whatever else. And that's just me hypothesizing based off of a comment that Tony Yayo said while he's taking up for him. I'm just like, that is not something that you want to, that is not something that you would want to suggest could ever happen. Because you're showing exactly why people need to be careful with smoking weed and et cetera, et cetera, if you think this could ever happen. But anyway, just between the game's lyrics and these new couple little details, I just want to do another video about it, man, and just be like, and also to point out, as I talked about in my other video, like, you have to be careful no matter where you're at, not just in California or whatever. But if you think the same thing wouldn't happen over food, if food shortages happen real bad or something, or just like these clowns have planned, you think people won't be going around doing the same thing for food? Creation of the apex predator. But hey, just wanted to touch on this again, and it's just tragic, and it's just a chance to really help people understand, like, you got to be careful nowadays. Like, technology is crazy, and if you're gonna post stuff, you might want to wait until after you've left the location, especially if you have a lot of money, if you're rolling, and if you are a successful entertainer or whatever else. Boosie did another interview. They brought him back, and he's talking about how at one of the last functions he went to, a concert or something, he left and somebody got robbed And it seemed like the people were looking for people that were going to that parking lot, and how Boosie parked, you know, obviously with more of a VIP type section. But it's like there was another well-known, it was the jeweler. I forgot his name. The jeweler that was with Boosie and some of the other folks. And people were saying that Boosie might have had something to do with this guy getting shot. Guy got shot and killed. And they were saying that Boosie and his crew or whatever might have had something to do with it because they were gambling. There was a video of them gambling, I think, before this happened. But, you know, he talks about how, you know, what really happened, et cetera, et cetera. But, so that's another situation right there where somebody else got, but I don't think they even robbed him or took this guy's jewelry, but he was a jeweler, you know, that makes all this custom jewelry for a lot of these entertainers. Not one that I had heard of, but, you know, it's just crazy, man. But yeah, before this gets too long, I just wanted to do another video about PNB Rock. So again, my condolences. I'm not trying to be overly critical, but it's just, you got to be careful because you just never know, like that one little slip up. And look, even if you're packing, like everybody's always talking, people who don't or have never had any training think that just because you got a gun on you that you're invincible or relatively invincible, or you're automatically going to be able to defend yourself. If somebody comes in and they got the quote unquote drop on you, the element of surprise, you might be better off not being armed, because if you're armed, the likelihood that you increase the likelihood of you trying to do something instead of just giving up whatever material crap that you don't want to give up and just letting the person go on. You might be tempted to say, like, I'm armed, I'm getting ready to try to, you know. And if somebody's sitting there already with drawn on you, you start reaching, you're out of here. Unless that person's stuff jams or something, and then, you know, that's a different story. But 9 times out of 10, that's not going to happen. And if somebody has an element of surprise on you, it doesn't matter if you're armed or not. Being armed is not the issue when it comes to these sorts of things. People that act like savages and brag about being demons and demon time, et cetera, if you're on the offensive, and being on the defensive is not the best place to be when people have the element of surprise, because you have a social contract and people are generally expecting you not to do these things when not totally warranted with an emergency situation. Again, back to the topic of non-emergency violence, all the way back to Will Smith. So anyway, see y'all later. Peace, love, and light.